It is time to step inside the tech tent, as he does this time every Saturday morning. Joining me is the editor of Tech Guide, Stephen Fenech. Morning, Fenno. Let's start with Belkin and making products from recycled plastic.
That's right. Good morning, Tim. Belkin made this announcement back at the Consumer Electronics Show back in January that they were going to make their products from PCR, which is post-consumer recycled plastic. So a massive decision to do this, obviously less impact on the environment. So rather than using virgin plastic that could possibly end up in landfill, they're going to use the PCR plastic that will then make up the bulk of their products. At first, they're coming out with some power banks, some car chargers, a couple of USB hubs. So, and the big story, and it happens to be Earth Day today, the big thing is that Australians are going to get these products before anyone else in the world. Belkin have decided to use Australia as their first market to sell these products. The other thing they've changed is also the packaging. So the packaging is all paper as well. They've removed all the plastic. Remember, there was a plastic hang tag on some of these as well. It's also there's a clear call out on the products as well that they are made from PCR. But the big thing though, the big surprise is the fact that the product doesn't look any different. So I've got a couple of, these are two Belkin power banks, one made from the virgin plastic and one made from PCR. You can't even tell the difference. The PCR version happens to be this one. Doesn't look any different to the virgin plastic version. So in terms of look and feel for the customer and even performance of the product, nothing's going to change. This is going to help Belkin meet their really big targets that they've got to reduce their output and to reduce their carbon emissions and to really improve their sustainability story. And Australia is going to be the first market where they're going to sell these products.
Now, what about cars? Will the National Electric Vehicle Strategy move the needle to boost EV sales, do you think?
Well, this was an announcement the government made during the week, and it's okay to say something and to have plans for something, but it's only until they're in place and it starts to improve the take-up of EVs. Now, at the moment, EVs only make up 3.8% of the entire car market in Australia, which is still quite low. And the issue we have is that electric car manufacturers are sending their stock to larger markets where there's more demand. So until we have more demand, we're not going to attract those more affordable models and generate that competition that's going to make it better for the customer. So the thing that the strategy does imply, though, is that there is going to be a concentrated effort to improve infrastructure. And now that's one holdback from customers, not just price. They're still quite expensive. The holdback is the anxiety of not being able to charge their vehicle, whether they're on a long trip, whether they live in an apartment building. So wherever they park their car, the customer wants assurance that they're going to be able to charge their car as easily as putting in a full tank of fuel. So until we improve those, it's a kind of field of dreams scenario. If you build it, they'll hopefully come. So once those are in place, then we'll see the market move. So they really need to act now to improve those facilities. And then we'll see, I think, take up and demand for EVs increase.
Good to see you quoting a bit of Kevin Costner this morning. Now, you know about it because you drive a Tesla.
I do, absolutely, yeah. And, mate, when I bought my car, I've been driving my Tesla for 5 years. When I bought my car, there was a limited number of EV chargers. I luckily had something here at home where I could charge my car whenever I want in my own driveway. And that's the scenario for most EV drivers. They set up a way to charge their cars at home. So I've got solar panels, I've got a storage battery, so I can easily do that here. But for other potential EV drivers who maybe live in massive apartment buildings, they don't have off-street parking, these are the things that we need to deal with to generate that interest for someone for the next time they're purchasing a vehicle to maybe to consider an EV at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. What about Apple and its HomePod speakers?
Yeah, well, this is a new feature for the HomePods. They're not new HomePods. So if you've got an existing HomePod or a HomePod Mini, there's a new feature that's now coming to the HomePods. It's called sound recognition. And this has the potential to save your life because part of the sound recognition feature is being able to listen out and recognise smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. So if the HomePod happens to hear your smoke alarm or your carbon monoxide alarm, it'll send you a notification. So whether you're at home or not, you will know that the smoke alarm's going off or the carbon monoxide alarm, and you'll be able to also check into your house. If you're not there, you can actually use the notification from an iPhone or an iPad to then check into your home and hear what's going on through the HomePod as well. Handy little feature, a potential lifesaver, but it basically, HomePod now will turn your smoke alarms into smart smoke alarms.
Now, you knew I was going to get to this because that smile has been jumping off your face this morning, because with 6 minutes and 20 seconds to go in Thursday night's blockbuster between the Rabbitohs and the Panthers, the Rabbitohs looked like they were going to lose. And then boom, crash, opera, the brilliance of Cody Walker and Latrell. They got your guys home. What did you think?
Yeah, I was out there, Tim, and I was thinking that once again Penrith have snatched victory away from us, and it was really good to see that none of the players dropped their heads. They had that belief that there was still the opportunity here to win the game, and ironically, it was Latrell Mitchell and Tass and who scored the winning tries. There were some errors from those two very players that actually gifted points to the Panthers throughout the game. So redemption's a brilliant thing here, and that's exactly what they did. They really rallied that last few minutes, and when they scored that last try, it was scenes reminiscent of the 2014 grand final victory. There were people in the stands hugging each other, strangers hugging each other. It was amazing atmosphere out there. But yeah, there was a few of us, myself included, who thought, they're going to do it tough to win from here. And boy, I'm really glad they did. They got through that. They really believed in themselves and came through with the win.
Yeah, it was quite an extraordinary performance, and my eldest son wasn't very happy because he'd taken Stephen Crichton out of his Supercoach team and he scored 3 tries. Anyway,
I even got Damien. I had a bet on Damien Cook being the first try scorer as well. So double delight for me that night as well, mate. But it was a victory that this needed to prove that they're the real deal this year. I think South. The victories they've had were against the Dolphins and some other lower teams, whereas teams like Penrith, Storm, Roosters had already beaten South this year. They needed to prove they're the real deal, and this victory really does seal that.
Yeah, well, you and I both played a lot when we were younger. We've watched it our whole lives. I can't remember a season starting quite like this. It has been
extraordinary,
unbelievable. We'll do it all again next week, eh?
Look forward to it. Thanks a lot, Timmy.